Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Betrayal at Krondor. In our last episode, we left the Sea of Krondor, heading north on a quest to visit the Black Sheep Tavern in the town of Romney. Let's take a look at our map. We left Krondor and headed north. We were planning to head across this road, past Sethanon, Lytton, Sildon, Sloop, and eventually arriving at Romney, and we got a little sidetracked. We discovered that the town of Eggley has been abandoned due to a local ritual where everybody leaves the town for a day, and then a character known as a stranger is supposed to perform a ritual, and then everybody comes back home. Well, that stranger was murdered by another person because he owed him money, and the superstitious townsfolk took that as a bad omen and have not returned. So we're heading up looking for the temple in order to try to find a solution to this, to maybe find a way to get the people to convince them to come back to town. We were told that the temple is somewhere up here and then to head north, the crossroads, and we're at the crossroads right now. Let's take a moment to look at our stats, see where we left off after our last battle in our last episode. James is in good shape. His accuracy went up since the last time we looked. Owen is all right. He's still in a healing state. His casting ability and scouting have gone up. And Gorath's defense has increased, and he's also not in too bad shape. Everyone's hit points look fairly good. We're still okay on rations, too. So let's go ahead and take that road northwards and try to find that temple. And then once we've done that and maybe resolved this issue at the town of Eggley, maybe we can then continue on our quest towards Romney. Now, last time we were here, we did see a bunch of enemies up ahead of us, and we should be coming up on them fairly soon. I saw some Moradel warriors. There they are. Let's try to get the drop on them. The enemy was not surprised this time. In fact, they seemed eager to accept the challenge and moved forward to meet the failed charge. "Weapons at ready!" shouted James. "Looks like we're going to fight this one on their terms." Now, as usual, what we want to do is try to keep Owen away from any other enemies. If we can have him cast, we'll be in good shape. We can defend James and Gorath long enough for them to do damage to the enemies. I'm going to have James move up and attack this closest enemy to begin. Excellent. Owen is still free from any enemies coming up and harrying him, so he's going to go ahead and cast, as usual, Skin of the Dragon. I've discovered that this is a very useful spell, and we'll go ahead and protect James. Gorath will go up and harass this other enemy who's next to James. Actually, can he reach? He can't get quite close enough to these enemies, so he'll come up over here. James will continue attacking the same enemy as before, and now Owen will cast Skin of the Dragon on Gorath. Now both of our melee fighters are protected. That should give us a nice advantage here. Looks like one of them shot their own person, their own team member by accident. And now Owen will rest to regain some of the stamina he spent casting those spells. And the first enemy is down. Owen took a little bit of damage there. Gorath's gonna go up here and start hurting this guy. Keep resting for Owen for now, because his skills will be called upon again fairly soon, I'm sure. Let's get this enemy before he's able to escape, and he is now down. Excellent. Owen is taking a little bit of damage here and there from crossbow bolts, but we should be able to put a stop to that quickly. Very soon. James is going to go up and harass this guy to keep him from shooting any more bolts at us. That third enemy is down. Next turn, Gorath can begin harassing this one and keeping him from shooting at us anymore. Excellent. Now there won't be any more crossbow bolts coming at Owen, and he'll be free to cast as soon as those spells wear off. As you can see, having a spellcaster in your party for support is incredibly useful, especially when facing a very large crowd of enemies like this. And that enemy flees. He knows that he's been beat. He knows that he's completely outmatched by our group. Let's move James up into here. Owen will keep resting. And that enemy's on his way out. He's also trying to escape. But not so fast. Gorath finishes him off. Alright, unfortunately, we can't loot these bodies. Our inventories are completely full. We'll check and see if they have any money. Let's check what abilities increased after that battle. James's melee continues to increase. And that... Oh, Gorath's strength went up to 28. So as you can see, that battle went very well. We should have 4 enemies to search here. Good rations. Let's share that amongst the party. Give 4 to Owen. Well, then just 2 to Gorath here. There's another body here. Nothing we can take right now. Let's go to the other side of them. Some money, absolutely. And I don't know if we can carry any redweed brew. James shook the vial. Called Tith's Piss among mercenaries, the liquid was famed for its vile, metallic flavor and ruddy color, both owing to the fact that the liquid was gathered from the rusty drain pipes of the Temple of Tith. Many claimed the fluid could improve an imbiber's swordplay for a short time. Well, that's useful. That must increase our melee ability. Is there anything that we might want to trade out for that? That increases defense, and I keep forgetting that we have that. This increases strength. True Sight Tea is good for archers, and restoratives, of course, are useful for increasing our health. Honestly, there's nothing really that I want to get rid of here. Let's go ahead and do our normal trick here of repair and replacement here. James's armor is so degraded that at this point I'd like to trade it for one of the other ones we have. His sword is really looking bad. Eventually we're going to want to trade it out for this broadsword. I'd like Owen's armor to get repaired, so let's go ahead and hand this off for just a moment to give this to Gorath. And then we'll give this back to Owen. It's at 88%. Yeah, that's better than anything we have. This Mordhel armor, let's go ahead and grab that and see if that's going to end up better than Gorath's. Elven armor, I should say. Yep, this is actually better than Gorath's current armor, so we'll trade that out. Maybe we'll come back for this later. I think there's a fourth... Yeah, there's the fourth body. More money. 5 rations. Honestly, let's drop off this armor for just a moment. This armor's already at 80%. That's much better. 91%. Let's give that to Owen. I'd like to... I think eventually we're going to come back and take all of this armor. You know, we'll come back and loot these bodies once we have room. And some good rations. Let's see if there's any room left for them. There we go. 14, 8. Let's give 4 of these to James. So he's got two packs of 14, 14, 14, and then 4. Okay. Again, that's all we can really fit for now. Let's take a moment and see if this path leads anywhere. Looks like night is falling. Just want to see if there's any chests or anything buried out here. But it doesn't look like it. Okay, as night's falling, let's go ahead and rest for the night. Gorath is not... He's not that bad off, but his maximum hit points are so high that he looks like he's not good. I think we'll be okay. Oh! It was an ugly mob. Standing in a semicircle, they waved angry fists as James tried to smooth over the situation. Look, I don't think I know what the problem is, but I'm sure we can work this out, he said calmly. Surely we can come to some kind of peaceful agreement, don't you think? Unfortunately, the mob seemed quite insane. So there's 3 Quagians standing outside of the temple. Alright, well, let's see what we can do here. Oh, unfortunately, that guy came right up to Owen. So we'll have to try to move Owen out of the way. The one that's coming after Owen, let's have Gorath harass him. And James as well. That way Owen is free. Seeing as how Gorath was the worst off, you know, he had his hit points in red, let's go ahead and cast Skin of the Dragon on him to begin with. We'll finish off that first enemy there who's already hurt. Owen will move in and help against this enemy. We'll try to make short work of him if we can. Wow, this guy's really doing a good job at evading our blows here. But Owen strikes the killing blow. Now, I want to do something specific here. I'm going to move Gorath over here. I'll move James over here. And I'll move Owen up here. Rest for a turn. I wanted to move him so he wasn't right on top of the other corpses. If and when we do decide to loot this guy, I'd like it to be a little bit more convenient. There we are. 3 enemies all in a row. I don't know what that was all about. Once again, our abilities have increased. James's defense went up. Owen's melee, because he got that killing blow. And Gorath's defense. Alright, let's see if there's any money here. And we'll hold off on taking anything else at this point. Alright. And we'll once again, of course, keep repairing. James's armor didn't need any repairing. Gorath's is now up to 89. That's wonderful. And his sword's up to 97. That's good. If we keep remembering to repair as we go, we should be in better shape. Gorath's armor craft is up to 60. And James's weapon craft's up to 40. Alright, here. This must be that temple that we were trying to find. Let's get inside here. The Temple of Silbat. Before we do anything else, let's memorize this mandala. This way we've at least visited this mandala. Now we have access to teleport back to it later on if we ever need to come back here. As you can see, these are the previous temples we visited. Down here, the Temple of Sung and the Temple of Killian. Alright. A priestess escorted them. Expecting a chamber in keeping with the rest of the grandeur of the temple, James was startled when they were led to a cramped room where an old woman sat reading through a sheaf of papers. Glancing up, the High Priestess squinted at them, then shook her head. "You will excuse me, but I was expecting someone else," she said, laying aside the papers she'd been reading. "A few days ago I sent a summons to one of our faithful, a Franklin that lives to the north of Eggley." "I doubt he would have been able to get to you," Owen replied. "We ran into a band of men just outside the temple who seemed bent on killing any that came up the road." The priestess exhaled loudly. "The Quagian fever is spreading here, and likely those were more men infected with it. If you were to go to him and tell him the way is clear, I would consider it a very great favor." Looking back down at the tracks scattered in her lap, she rubbed at her eyes. "You'll forgive me, but I really must get back to work on these. Please see yourself out. Goddess blessing on you." Alright, well, let's go. We might need to talk to that person before we can... the Franklin, before we can talk to the priestess. So, let's head back to the south. I think I know where that person might be. And I don't believe we're going to run into any more enemies since we've already killed everything between here and there. If you remember in our last episode, we passed a farmhouse. I think that Franklin might be there. So let's keep heading in this direction. I think the farmhouse should be right on the other side of this mountain here. Let's go ahead and rest. Let's rest for the night, of course. We don't want to run into anything. And here we are. Here's this house. The door swung open. "Good day to you, fine sirs," said the man at the door. "My name is Franklin Hurley. How may I be of service to you?" James cleared his throat. "We were told at the Temple of Silbat that you might want to see us." "You've spoken to the priestess?" he asked incredulously. "I wish to speak with them of next year's crops, but 3 howling idiots wouldn't allow me to pass." "You won't be having any more trouble with those 3, said Gorath. Franklin excitedly retreated into his house and returned a moment later with a pouch of coins that he demanded they take as a reward. James tried to turn the money down, but the man insisted. They thanked him for his kindness and generosity, then they left. Some extra money. That's definitely worth having. And there was nothing in the barn. One thing we didn't do the last time we were here was take a look at what's down this little path here. Let's see if there's anything interesting. Oh, something in the ground. More money, 31 gold. And a fairly good sword, but we have no room for that. We could drop off a sword that we have that isn't in such good shape. Let's leave behind one of these 88s. We'll take the 99. All right, let's head back to the temple. We're going to go ahead and leave the road here and get on this side of the road and just keep heading over this way. Try to make more of a straight shot for the road here. And then we'll head back north to the temple. And I'm kind of blazing through this, but we've already defeated all the enemies between us and our destination. There's the temple again. All right, let's go ahead and return. A messenger went in to find the High Priestess. In a few moments, a tall, proud-looking woman limped from under one of the arches, her long gray hair hanging lank around her face as a plump woman trundled at her side for support. When James hailed them, the shorter woman wheeled angrily. "The High Priestess has been through a terrible ceremony," she snapped. "She has no time for—" "Belandra," the High Priestess jerked her arm from her assistant's grasp, silencing her with a cold stare. "I am neither so old, nor so ill in the goddess's favor that I cannot spare a moment to speak with these gentlemen. If you were to remember the spirit of our catechisms more often than their letter, I think you might replace me someday. Our place is in service to both the Earth Mother and those who worship her. Remember." James bowed his head. "That is very gracious of you, High Priestess, but if another time would be more convenient." The old woman chuckled darkly. "Speak, noble one." Sensing that brevity was in his best interest, he quickly related the things Devon had told them during their visit to the Stranger Tavern in Eggley. When at last he had finished, a grave expression was on the High Priestess's face. "There is no curse upon the town, whatever this man Devon may have told you," she said. "But we share fault in this. The ritual of the festival never was intended like this, and now it has brought shame on this temple and misery upon our faithful in Eggley. Nevermore shall there be a festival." Belandra gasped. "High Priestess! The festival!" "Silence, child," she said, turning her glare on James. "I will also see this collector brought to justice. If you can find him, send him to us with word that we have a reward to give him. I will see you very well remunerated for your efforts. Goddess's blessing on you." Turning, the High Priestess moved across the courtyard, followed quickly after by her plump assistant. So we have to find that collector now. If we can find him and have him return to the temple, that might fix this situation. All right, let's head back southwards. Let's head backwards towards Eggley. I'm trying to think of where we might be able to, how we might be able to resolve this. If we go back and talk to Devon, it might be, Devon might, what's the word I'm trying to look for? Devon might know where we can find this collector. I think I have an idea of where we might be able to go. Let's head, like I said, let's head back south. Let's kind of race our fastest that we can go here. So we're going to head back the way we came. And when we get to the road here, I'm going to go ahead and instead of heading east towards Eggley, we're going to keep going a little further south. There's Eggley, by the way. If we continue heading just a tiny bit further south from Eggley, there's the town of Tanners, and you might remember that we stopped there very briefly. And there was a very strange individual there that it mentioned. Nothing ever came of it. It mentioned that this character was watching us, was kind of checking us out. And I'm just a little concerned by that person. I'm concerned that maybe that might have something to do with all of this. So let's go back to Tanners real fast. Let's go to the inn here. Oh, while we're here, let's talk to Snake Eye Spitzer. That was that guy that Devin said he knew. They joined a shifty-eyed man. No games right now, fellas. I owe some money to a bloke in the back room, and I don't think he would appreciate me giving it to you in a game of chance. Noticing that the man seemed a little nervous, James said, "Who is this person you owe money?" "He's known by folks around here as the Collector." He lowered his voice until it was barely more than a whisper. "They say he killed a fella over in Eggley called Stellan." "Well, perhaps we can find a game with you on another day," James said. So the Collector is here. The Collector we're looking for. Before we begin looking for him, let's bard for a little bit. Gora, strum the lute. Before you get started, I think you should know we've tapped out our entertainment fund, the tavern keeper said quietly. If you play here, it'll only be for your own amusement. That's because we already played here once and already took money for it. At least in this chapter. Let's go to the back to the inn and stay the night. A sleepy man pushed them aside. Blinking, but unable to get one eye to completely open, the man stumbled to a bedroll in the corner of the room and lay down. Are you the man known as the Collector?" asked James. He sat up grumpily and finally, managing to get both eyes open, responded, "What if I am?" "It would appear you have a debt that has been paid to you by an acolyte at the Temple of Silbat. We just thought you should know." A glimmer of greed appeared in the man's eyes. Suddenly more awake now, he said in a somewhat cheerful voice, "Thank you. I shall pay him a visit on the morrow." So we've sent the Collector heading back north. Let's go ahead and spend the night just to get our hit points all the way up. We can't heal anymore sleeping outside. There we go. That looks much better. Alright, let's head back to that temple one last time. Because the priestess did promise us a reward for taking care of that business for her. While we're here, though, let's see if this is Eggley. Let's see if people have come back. No, looks like they haven't. I think we need to finish talking to the people of the temple for the people to finally come back to Eggley. All right, so once again, we're just kind of going to blaze through here at light speed. There's where Franklin lived. Now we must go ahead and we'll sleep for the night. There's a lot of back and forth on this quest, unfortunately, but the end result's going to be that we're going to be able to sell off all of that all of that loot that we found. And we're doing a very good service to the kingdom that we all serve. Well, at least James serves. All right. Temple's right ahead. Let's talk to the priestess one last time. A messenger went in to find the High Priestess. In a few moments she appeared, her gray hair floating behind her as she greeted her guests. "On behalf of the Earth Mother, we thank you," she said. "The man who called himself the Collector is now in our custody." "What will become of him?" James asked. "He will learn what it means to anger a goddess," she replied. "After, if he still lives, we will see he is rehabilitated." James shivered as he contemplated the future that likely lay ahead for the criminal. In the few instances he had seen a convicted heretic punished, he had been forced to avert his eyes. Hesitantly, he cleared his throat. I believe there was some mention of a reward? The priestess nodded. I have arranged for a few healing potions to be given to you, as well as a small sum of gold. You will have them before you leave the temple. I must leave you now to begin dispensing justice on this collector. Goddess blessing on you. That's a little terrifying. Alright, unfortunately we don't have any room for all of this, so let's see what we can do. We might be able to stack this with the healing things that Owen already has. At least some of them. There's 3 we can't fit, and that's fine. We should be able to stack some of these restoratives with James. Okay, James is full up on restoratives. How about Owen? Maybe we can fit more with Owen. Unfortunately not. Restoratives are expensive and useful. I would like to keep as many restoratives as we can. I'm willing to drop off other stuff instead of that. Let's take a look. I'll give these last 2 to Gorath. That frees up 1 inventory spot in James's inventory to take some more of these restoratives. We'll take a full batch of 24. I'm seeing if there's anything else that we can stack. He's got a full 24. He's got 2 full things of 24. I'd like to take these last 2 ones, if we can. Let's use the Dragonstone on his... Oh, I'm sorry. On the armor there. And we'll do the same thing for James. Let's just drop the whetstone for just a moment. Give ourselves a little bit of a buff to our armor. Give this back to Gorath and then give him some restoratives. 24. Oh, hang on. I'm sorry. Wait. Oh, okay. They just go to James then. Sorry. And then 2 restoratives and 3 herbal packs. I can give the 3 to Gor... Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And then those last 2 restoratives, that has 3 uses. I'm seeing if there's anything we have that only has 1 use left that we can use on maybe on Owen's armor. What is this one again? Yes, we'll use this one on Owen's armor. So let's get rid of 1 thing that Owen's holding. Give this to Owen. And we'll buff his armor as well. That way we'll give this back to him. And the last restoratives once again to James. There we go. Money and a bunch of healing items. So let's... now let's head back to Eggley. Finally, for like 1 last time. After all of that back and forth... Oh! I just realized I was going the wrong way. Well, we've stumbled into a fight, and there's nothing for it but to fight. Let this be a lesson to us. Pay attention to which way we're going. It's very dangerous to let yourself slumber on the road like that. What on earth could Owen and James and Gorath have been thinking? Let's use our new Serani Quarrels and see how they do. 48% accuracy as opposed to 53 for the Kingdom Quarrels. Let's try that. A nice healthy 14 damage, that was useful. But Owen is taking some hits here. We'll return the favor by firing at him. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Now this enemy is advancing because he knows he's not doing too well. Owen, once again with the killing blow, proves that he's well capable of defending himself in combat. This young, untried lad has really started to come into his own on the road here. That was an unexpected battle that we didn't need to fight, but We came out of it stronger, it looks like. Everybody's strength went up, and Gorath's accuracy melee went up. Any chance that any of these enemies had money? They did have money. 7 good rations. Let's share this amongst the party if anybody has room for it. I don't think we do. No, we don't. And the other enemy... good rations that are unfortunately going to go bad by the time we can get back here. Gorath's armor that had been in poor shape is doing much better because we've been able to continue repairing it after every battle. Alright. This time, let's actually head southwards. Let's rest for the night, of course. Heal up any damage, some of the damage we took. Yeah, there was a crossroads here, a sort of a fork in the road, and we went up this way, and we weren't supposed to. Let's head back down past the temple once again, and continue heading south back the way we originally came. Now, in this direction, yes, we have fought all the enemies that there were. And it should be safe to blindly race forward like this. That's one of the dangers of doing this and not taking our time and seeing where we're going. Alright. After all this back and forth, we're actually down to our last packs of rations, our last piles of 14. That's... it was a lot of... that took us quite a few days. Let's see if the town has people back in it now. James stood motionless, waiting for a response. Seconds later, a large, amply endowed woman came to the door holding a small child on one hip. My husband still has chores to do. You just head on back over to the stranger, and maybe he'll join you when he's through. Before he had a chance to reply, the door slammed closed. On the other side, James could hear a man weakly protesting. But Butterball, I've never seen those men before. This was followed by a thwack and a muffled shout, then silence. Alright, the next house here. This place was abandoned. This is the one we stole the money from. And now the shop. Hopefully this shop will purchase weapons and armor from us. Oh wait, this one is still locked. Well, that's interesting. They were met at the door by a friendly couple. James introduced himself, and greetings were offered all around. He sat and traded stories for several minutes, then rose. We really must be going. You've been very kind. Okay, there was no other houses in that way. Let's head back to the inn. Let's do the other buildings first. That was abandoned. The door swung open, and James found himself staring into the wide eyes of a small boy. Hello there, little guy. Is your mom? A new figure appeared at the door, a young woman. She greeted the visitors and introduced herself as the boy disappeared behind the folds of her skirt. After a short but unenlightening talk, she offered them some water. Owen bent down and waved goodbye as they prepared to leave, causing the boy to disappear into the house with an excited cry. And this one was also abandoned. They might have been home since the last time I came here, noticing that building was still abandoned. Either way, let's head to the inn, which should now have more people in it. Yep, here we go. So let's talk to Devin. Come in and join the celebration. Welcome to the stranger. What are you celebrating? A new life here in Eggley. You remember I told you that on the night I arrived, something very peculiar happened? All the townspeople disappeared, vanished without a trace. When they didn't come back, I decided to stay here and see what happened. Maybe take over the tavern. Damn me if they didn't all decide to come back. That's good news, isn't it? I'll take it, I think so, though I don't know what the ultimate fate of my tending this tavern will be. Still haven't heard what's become of the tavern keeper. But while I am still here, I suppose I ought to act like one. What can I get you? Well, we've already talked to him about everything that he can talk about. Congratulations on Eggley's rebirth, Devin. I hope everything works out here so you can hold on to the tavern. One way or the other, it's been fun, so I have no regrets however it turns out. That's good to hear. So long, barkeep. Let's see what we can talk to the people here. This is one of those conversations we've already seen before. Doesn't want to talk to us. Here's a gambler who will play Pashawa with us. Pushing a brightly colored deck towards James. Seeing that his offer didn't seem attractive enough, he sweetened the bet. If you win, I'll pay half again what you wager. What do you wish to bet? Nothing right now. We'll play gambling games later on. This is, again, one of those stories that we've heard in other taverns. James paused. While it had occurred to him to strike... Oh, we've already talked to this one. Let's look at the barmaid here. They don't sell rations here except for one-day rations. So if we want to pick up more rations, we'll have to go to a different shop. Let's try barding. Once again, we didn't do very well, but it was received well enough that we got 39 sovereigns and 2 royals. It's a good way to make some extra money, isn't it? And our abilities have increased once again. Gorath's weapons craft is up. James's barding increased this time up to 31%. Owen's still our best. In fact, while we're sitting here, let's practice barding. Owen plucked the strings of the practice lute carefully, aware his smallest mistakes were the cause of great grief to others. He could at least say he was learning, however minutely every time he played the single tune he knew. And we'll focus on those skills later. The only downside to that is it does take time every time you practice that lute. You know, notice how it's now getting dark. Let's go ahead and rest for one more night here. And try to see if this shop is open. No, it's abandoned, unfortunately. We don't have the right key for that. And we can't pick it. So that was interesting. The whole reason I wanted to restore this town was to try to get access to a shop so that we could sell all these items that we have in our possession. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. All right, instead, let's go ahead and head east then. We'll start our way towards Sethanon. The only other alternative is to head all the way down to Krondor. Here's Tanner's. Let's just look at our map for a minute here. We're just as close to Krondor as we are to Sethanon, honestly. And I know we're going to run into fights between ourselves and Sethanon. I'm just going to race down towards Krondor real quick. And pick up some more rations while we're there. I really want to get rid of all this extra nonsense that we're carrying. Let's see how Owen's armor fares under Gorath's ministrations. 94, that's wonderful. That's much better. One of these whetstones to James just to hold on to make a little bit more room here. I'm going to hang on to this broadsword, but I'm going to give it to James since he's the one who's going to eventually be using it. And Gorath is my chosen weaponsmith of sorts. Okay. Yeah, we can't actually go back into the palace without going back through the sewers And I don't want to deal with that today. I'm going to buy one more thing of rations for everybody just because we're heading back out into the road. Oh, rations are unavailable because we tried to haggle. We'll just purchase them normally. We'll buy one thing of 7 for each party member. And then we'll try barding. Nope. Okay, so that was a lot of roundabout, and Owen's barding increased a little bit to 45. Gorath's is up to 8. That was a whole lot of back and forth and round and about, really, to never accomplish the one thing I was trying to accomplish, which was I think that's the road I was on before. Let's just... I want to make sure we're going the right way here. Yeah, we are not going the right way. There we go. Sorry, as I was saying, that was a lot of round and about and back and forth to never fully accomplish what I was trying to do, which was to get that shop back open. I believe we already looted these bodies, except for a couple things. The next group of bodies we find, we'll loot. But I don't want to say that was a waste of time, because our skills increased along the way. We gained quite a lot of money by fulfilling that side quest. It just took a bit of our time. There's Tenors, and then the road east. There was the gentleman who got caught in the trap. And then these were some bodies that we got in a fight with. I think we were able to loot these bodies. Nope, let's go ahead and take these weapons and armor. We might find another place to sell them. Plus, this gives Gorath a chance to practice his weaponsmithing. And I'll never turn down an opportunity for that. We'll hand off that extra sword to Owen. More armor. And then we'll hand that right off to Owen and take the sword. And give that off. Oh, too much. And then the third body. We'll check Gorath's stats in a few minutes. Let's see. He can still hold a sword. If I give one of these swords to James... I'd like to pick up that sword long enough just to repair it. Yeah, up to 97. That's very good. And there, now we can take that armor. There we go. Our inventory is full again, but maybe we can sell it when we get where we're going. Okay, so that was a lot of roundabout and back and forth. Now we're on this road heading east. So this is where we're supposed to go. We need to head this way to head to Romney. So let's begin heading down this road. Let's keep a very sharp eye out because this is a new way. Mist floated in the pass. This road leads to Sethanon, to the east, James said, though I believe it also forks to the north and leads through the Dimwood Forest. Which way do you think would be the best? We're going to head east. We want to head towards Sethanon. The landscape flattened. Slowly the hills and trees began to thin, becoming far more sparse in the grassy midlands of the kingdom. So now we are over here near Sethanon. Let's keep an eye out for any enemies or anything interesting along the way. Oop, let's stay on the road. There's a little path that leads to the north here. I don't think that's what this road is here. It looks like we're not quite there yet. Let's take a look. There might be something interesting. Maybe a Mordhill Wardlock or some campfires. Somebody was camping out here. That could be a sign of danger ahead. Okay, here's some buildings. Somebody's barn. Staring into the barn, Gorath thought he could make out the forms of a cow and several small sheep. He also thought he heard chickens, though he wasn't exactly sure where the sound was coming from. In any event, the chickens made him think of fresh eggs, the cow, fresh milk. His mouth began to water. Perhaps whoever owns the house over there could give us something to eat, he said. Well, let's take a look. The owner of the house, a farmer who called himself Covey, invited them inside. They talked for several minutes about a variety of topics, while Covey's wife grabbed something they could take with them when they left. "Could we get you strapping lads something to eat?" she asked. "Sure." With a smile, the farmer motioned to his wife. He moved next to her and helped her prepare the rations. When they were through, they handed several packages to James, who accepted them graciously. "You've been too kind," he said. "Oh, it's going to be too much for us." Let's see. He has 14 and 1, so he can fit them. All right, let's keep going. Friendly folk. There should be a road heading north. Oh, we've been ambushed. 3 Nighthawks. That's dangerous. As you remember, the Nighthawks are the Guild of Assassins, and they're also known to rise once they're dead. These are skilled assassins. We need to be very careful here. Owen, cast Skin of the Dragon on our friends. Keep them safe. This one's coming for Owen, so let's be very careful. James will engage with this enemy. And Owen will go ahead and cast Skin of the Dragon one more time, this time on Gorath. But now Owen is the target, so we have to be extremely careful. Ooh, Owen is taking some serious hits here. He's already so hurt that he's in serious danger. Let's use Restorative, maybe that'll help. He quickly guzzled a bunch of Restoratives and got his hit points back up. We keep missing this enemy, but now Owen has a chance to flee. Out of the way. It was too far for that enemy to make it to, so now Gorath can begin engaging this one. And James can try to harry this enemy who's fleeing. But, oh, he didn't quite escape yet. Owen, rest one more turn, get a little bit more of your hit points back. And now that enemy's taking damage. That enemy was able to flee. That enemy's taking some good damage, so he won't be able to move as fast. Owen, go ahead and get into the battle. Once again, Owen with the killing blow. I don't know how he manages to pull that off. This enemy hasn't taken any damage yet, I don't believe. But Owen does 5. When everyone else fails. Owen's becoming quite the little scrapper here. There we go. Now he's taking damage, so his stats should be going down. Now he's beginning to flee. And he's down. 2 of the 3 are dead. Whew. Let's quickly see if there's anything worth taking. Poisoned rations, certainly not. Flame root oil, I don't believe we can carry it. I would like to... There's nothing we could take off the body to... Oh, hang on. I'm speaking a little too soon here. I believe I can take some of these arrows. I'm going to take the rest. I'll take the flameroot oil. Let Owen hold that. That way we can hand things off to the body. Take this armor and at least repair it. Then we'll put it back, and that's take the sword, do the same. I just want to get those skills. Just keep increasing Gorath's skills, that's all. And then the other body. Here's some money and a key. A Gildus Thorn. Gorath puzzled over the heavily lacquered wooden key. I could be wrong, but I believe this is a Gildus Thorn, he said. As I understand it, the dwarves were amused that the Serani traders used wood instead of metal to manufacture their goods, and the dwarven name for the Serani keys stuck. Alright, so let's... Again, we'll hand off this good armor for this. 78%. And we'll hand off one of these swords for this one, just to give James a chance to get some repair work in. Again, we'll take the better one. We have 94% armor there. Let's get rid of this 78%. .94 is actually better, so we'll give that back to Owen. James, go ahead and fix your own armor up, please. As well as your sword. And then Gorath will do his own items. Alright, well, we survived an encounter with some Nighthawks. That was a little terrifying. Our health and stamina, melee, and weaponcraft increased for James. Same thing with Owen and Gorath, and his armor craft continues to increase. Let's get clear of those enemies. Some more campfires. That might be where those enemies were camping out while they were waiting for us. So it looks like we're not out of the woods. Those ambushes are still out there. Delacon's forces are still trying to stop Gorath. What is that? Looks like a stump. James approached the wooden stump cautiously. Seeing that it was hollow, he looked inside. Oh, a shell. We could sell that, but we don't have any room for it, unfortunately. I can give these rations to Owen. And that gives us room for that shell. Alright, back on the road. This is that road that looks like it leads north. Oh, no. This looks like it must lead to Sethanon. James gasped. He fought back the terror rising within him as an icy wave passed through his body, hitting him in the chest with a sledgehammer blow that forced the air from his lungs. As he fought to catch his breath, he suddenly found himself under attack. It's a ghost. Alright, we have to be extremely careful here. I can't reach it from where I am. Let's try shooting a crossbow at it. Well, we hit it. I didn't mean to rest there. I meant to cast Skin of the Dragon on Gorath. I don't know how many hit points this thing has. Alright, seeing as how Gorath has been hurt first here, and is probably the worst off among us, I'm going to go ahead and cast Skin of the Dragon now on him. Not a moment too soon. It protected Gorath from taking any further damage, so he can go ahead and rest and start getting his hit points back. James is going to move up a little bit, so next turn he can strike at that ghost. Oh, and I want you to rest to get back some hit points as well. Ooh, that's not good. Now he's attacking James. Gorath, keep resting for just a moment. James still has stamina left, though, so we're not in bad shape. Ooh, but this thing keeps attacking us. I think this turn Owen is going to go ahead and protect James with a spell. And we'll begin moving Gorath up. Because Gorath now has stamina. And we'll let James rest a turn. He keeps attacking with that powerful spell. but now it's taking damage. Okay, it moved down. It's trying to come after Owen. But now it's taking damage. Luckily, we've confounded the ghost by having our defensive spells in place. Owen's back to having his stamina increase. And the ghost is defeated. That was certainly unexpected. Owen's casting is up to 76%. That's great. And Gorath's crossbow accuracy increased from those shots we took at that enemy. Again! I don't know if we can face two of these enemies at once. Can we flee? They ran. Owen cursed the tendency his feet had to find bumps and sinkholes, but he stumbled on, terrified at the notion he would never find safety, never have another moment in his life when someone didn't wish to carve him up alive. It was a numbing thought, but he moved on until he reached his companions and safety. Alright, let's back off. It looks like... Where are we? We found ourselves pretty far off the road. There's a building next to us. Let's head back to the road and let's camp until we can heal up here. Oh, and go ahead and use a healing pack, and we'll have Gorath use one as well because he took some damage too. So it looks like heading up that road is a recipe for disaster. We keep fighting enemies there. Let's continue on to the east. And head for the town of Lytton instead. Maybe we can find some answers to what's going on there. Here we go. Here's some buildings that maybe we can... maybe we can find some help here. The door was locked. James was about to leave when he noticed a small sign hanging from a rusty nail in the door. The sign read, "Nia's shop closed for now." "That's a strange thing to put on a sign," said James with a puzzled look. "Let's rest for the night." "Are they open during the day?" "No, unfortunately." All right, well, let's look around this town. That's an abandoned house. Let's go ahead and take that. I thought we... There we are. I knew we already had some of that, so we could stack it with what we already had. Let's head into this tavern. One of those taverns that's only open from midday through midnight. James knocked on the door. After several seconds, a large man greeted them, introducing himself as Herschel. He invited them inside and offered them some food and cold ale. They discovered while eating that Herschel's house was an old relay station, and he regaled them with stories about it until they were finished with their meals and ready to leave. So there's like just a little kind of relay station here, a little weird town in the middle of the road. It doesn't even seem to have a name. Alright, let's look around. James cleared his throat. Glancing up from the business of cleaning his fingernails with a boot knife, the man regarded them frostily, motioning with the tip of his knife for them to quickly make their business known. "That's a very nice knife. Keshian, isn't it?" James commented carefully. "Where did you chance to purchase it?" The man smiled, showing uneven brown teeth. "Who said I bought it?" "Ah," Gorath said, taking hold of Owen's shirt sleeve. "Well, I think my companion here promised me a drink before we came in, and I think it's well nigh time I collected on it. Good day to you. Perhaps we can speak again." James motioned to the figure across the room. The woman made her way across the wooden floor until she was standing before them. "Hello there. May I buy..." "I can't open up the shop. I don't care how much you have to offer or who you are. I can't go in there again." I was offering Miss to buy you a drink. Oh, sorry. I was thinking you were stopping in to buy something from my goods store across the road. Since my father's death, I've had the run of these two places, the tavern here and the goods store across the way. You know, I've had folks in here 4 a week by last count, all offering money for a sword made by a hermit up north. Fool that I am, I sent the word out, but that was before things started happening in my store. I've since closed up things for a bit. Closed your store? Why? What sort of things were going on in there? You'll think I'm foolish. I think I'm foolish. Tell me, I'll listen. If I laugh once, even once, you may upend a cask of ale over my head. You'll pay for the cask if I do. All right then, I'll tell you. In the past few weeks, I've seen a man prowling about in my shop. That's easy enough. Between companions and myself, we can get rid of your prowler by dinner time tomorrow. Can you now? You run through ghosts as easy as that. Poleaxe poltergeist in your spare time. Ghosts? This prowler of yours is a ghost. Told you wouldn't believe me. I'll put it to you, though. If you can find a way to put the ghost in my shop to rest, then I'll reopen my shop and give you the gallon griefmaker that I bought from the hermit. Simple as that. That offer is nearly as attractive as the woman delivering it. Thank you, fair lady. Okay, so she's Nia. She's the one who owns that shop, and it looks like her shop is haunted. Another gambler, a dice player. We're going to avoid that. Let's not lose all our money. Let's try barding. Fortune's... Oh, listen, it smells better this time. Sounds better. We're still making mistakes, but the noise of the playing is better than it used to be. We're improving. We've got 13 sovereigns from that. The journey towards musical mastery continues. Alright, so if we can figure out a way to stop the haunting of the shop, we could get it reopened. Well, let's... I'm going to look at these gravestones here. Leighton Dink, no longer can he hate his name. Belsima Deggins, mother's womb to earth and tomb. Jared Lycrow, owned a shop in a tavern, never wanted for more. We'll come back to that. Vaness Marlin, couldn't rest in life. Caven Pathan, got too close to his work. This is the person who owned the shop and tavern before she did. I wonder if there's any connection to that. She did mention her father was dead. An hour passed. Covered with grime and grave mold, James distastefully flung back the heavy lid of the coffin to look at its contents. Immediately he retched as a thick ammonia scent billowed up from the coffin's corrupting remains. Just a body, James gagged. Let's get him covered back up. Wait, Owen said, pointing down into the hole. Look! Someone's taking his hand! Why would a grave robber steal a body part? James shrugged. I wouldn't have guessed I would be digging up graves myself if Gorath hadn't said that the mortal use them sometimes as secret caches. Either way, let's get him covered up and be on our way. That's interesting. I wonder if the fact that her father is missing his hand has anything to do with what's happening in her shop. That could be a clue, and one that we might have to look further into. Maybe if we find that hand, that might give us a chance to put the uneasy spirit to rest. Last thing I'd like to do real quick. Let's wait until nighttime, midnight, and try to open up the shop. No. I think we do have a path forward here. She mentioned that after her father died, all these problems started happening, and, well, we found her father's grave, and it's missing its hand. So if we can find that hand, we might be able to resolve this little mystery, and then we'll continue on our way eastwards to Romney. Got quite a mystery on our hands, and as well as those ghosts that were backed by Sethanon. The spirits seem uneasy in this part of Midkemia. In our next episode, we're trying to get to the bottom of these mysterious hauntings. I'll see you then.